Is the fight to preserve Orange County's rural character being undermined by political maneuvering?
Advocates for rural development boundaries in Orange County are outraged by an unexpected deadline imposed by governor-appointed election supervisor Glenn Gilzean, potentially preventing the issue from reaching voters. They argue this measure would prevent suburban sprawl, while critics see it as a property rights infringement. The uncertainty has frustrated citizen residents, with County Commissioner Mayra Uribe of District 3 and others pushing for immediate action to preserve rural boundaries despite the fluid situation and lack of a clear legal deadline. Joel, what is going on in Orange County, Florida?
I don't know. I live in Seminole, but you're welcome to. You can't make this shit up. J&Washington, Joel Hoxley. I don't think we can get enough of the rural boundary and Glenn Gilzean. The minute they decided to put him into that office, he got some good press, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, before Friday's qualifying deadline, let's beat him up to death. So he, this is ridiculous. I don't understand what's going on in Orange County. It's got to become good business, not freaking, war between the personalities and look. Let's get down to the root of it, David. What do you think is this just political maneuvering, or do you really think this is an issue that Glenn may be interfering with?
Well, I think there's a whole lot of everything of what you're saying, but mostly, of course, is politics. And the former supervisor of elections, Bill Cowles, resigned in January of 2024, leaving the seat open, therefore having the opportunity to replace Bill Cowles, Governor DeSantis, as we predicted, appointed Glenn Gilzean as the new supervisor of elections here in Orange County. Supervisor Gilzean was the Reedy Creek Development chairman that has the authority over Disney, the governing body over Disney, now called the Central Florida Tourism District or something to that effect. So he moved from there to here. And of course, Orange County being a blue county, that decision was met with some pushback by Democrats. Some candidates for supervisor have made statements in the media pushing back on the appointment or pushing back on just some of the policies in the supervisor of elections office that have been in place since Bill Cowles. And we did, episodes about that. And the rural boundary has been such a contentious issue. Personally, professionally, I support the rural boundary. That's just me. And there seems to be a great deal of support here in Orange County for it. However, there has been a great deal of pushback from Tallahassee. Well, with the hit pieces in the Orlando Sentinel against Supervisor Gilzean. And recently, this is Thursday, June 13th, as recent as yesterday, Wednesday, June 12th, during the League of Women Voters luncheon, there was a forum for supervisor of elections candidates. And allegedly, we had some people there. Allegedly, it was a tough crowd for the supervisor. He either was not allowed to ask questions or answer questions, or he decided not to. And allegedly, someone screamed, "You coward," from the crowd. And this is at the League of Women Voters. This is not a good look for the league. Um, in this particular situation, the long time attorney for the supervisor of elections office was let go. Supervisor Gilzean is bringing his own people in, and with the pushback in regards to the rule boundary,
Well,
it's been preempted by
so I'm going to jump in. So I'm going to jump in and just say I'm jump in and just say, look, this is qualifying week.
Yeah.
Okay, on Flag Day, the United States Army birthday is Friday, and at 12 o'clock on that day, it's over.
Yes.
It's over. Listen, if you haven't qualified by then, you're done. There's no qualifying in the state of Florida after that. August 20th is our election, right? And from what I'm understanding, this is language that needs to be submitted to the supervisor of election by Friday.
Yes, sir.
If qualifying ends at Friday at noon and he's asking for the language to be done on Friday, even if it's impossible to get it done, it's about printing ballots. It's about getting his job done. So you get to tell him to F off because you know you can't get it finished in time. But he's just simply saying, I don't understand why, if everything's got to be closed down on Friday, because I have to get ballots printed. I got to get them out. You guys want early voting a months ahead, you know? It's so I'm just trying to figure this out.
This ballot initiative is for the November
I
ballot.
understand, but he's wanting it done by
I
Friday.
get it.
Look, we've already had all the language for, our November ballot
Right.
go through the Supreme Court.
That's a good point.
I'm not. I'm not. Listen, we've already said, hey, we're going to be smoking pot and putting babies' lives on the line here. Listen, our state has done their job. Our county should do their job.
Mhm.
I'm not going to take I'm not going to take sides.
Mhm.
I'm going to say I understand this request by the supervisor of elections, and if you don't, then it's an emotional thing. It's not. It's not a logical thing.
Oh, and definitely, there are folks who have been involved with the CRC, the Charter Review Commission, and members of the subcommittee, particularly Eric Grimmer, who have, publicly stated, that, they've been working on this for almost a year, and, because Tallahassee preempt them, they asked the county commission, Orange County Commission, to pass a resolution to allow this to go on the ballot through their efforts. And at first, they were told that they had until August to prepare the language, but that was not a firm date. That was a goal. And now the supervisor of elections saying, no, like you said, Friday.
So let's put the question out there, right? Is is the uh, is the Charter Review Commission been dissolved?
It's done.
It's
It's
done. So
complete.
that's what I'm saying.
Their work is done.
Their work is done. Okay. So if their work is done, why is the language not done?
Because Tallahassee preempted their decision in a law that was passed attached to other legislation, which we did talk about.
Which I
So
agree.
it was handed to the county commission for the county commission to determine whether or not they should, put this on the ballot. They do have that.
Correct. I got that, but if you had the language, if you didn't have the language when you tried to get Tallahassee to do it, now you're trying to get the county to do it, and you don't have the language done. Well, that's a problem. Shouldn't you have the language on what you want this to say
Got it.
prepared somewhere? And you guys aren't even meeting. You guys aren't even meeting. So who's supposed to be writing the language? Guys, this is why I get confused and frustrated, because I get that you were preempted or whatever you want to say. those are excuses. You're not a victim here.
Mhm.
You've put the supervisor of elections on notice, and you're trying to make him the bad guy. You're not a victim. If you didn't have the language done, if you needed to tweak the language, you needed to get into court, and you got preempted, you know you're still going to have the language addressed. This is a it's a bad situation on both sides. You both you both actually, need to look and say, where did we go wrong?
Mhm.
Supervisor, I don't think is wrong in this sense. If he has flexibility, he's not giving it, then
That's his
that's his
prerogative.
prerogative. But I don't think he does. I think he's really trying to say, this is my first time in this go round, and the language is done for the state. The language needs to be done for me.
You make a very good point. And on the other side, if this is going to go through the county commission, as Mayor Jerry Dimmings has said, it has to go through the process. There has to be discussion about the language, about its impact, and go through the formal hearings. And you just can't have that with enough notice to the public between the last county commission meeting that passed this actual um, uh, proclamation or whatever you want to call it to finally put together the language.
Okay, and then with that, right? If you sent it up to Tallahassee and you know there might be an issue, or you're anticipating, if you're doing the right thing, you're trying to figure things out, you could have said, you know what, I'm going to go to the county commission early and say, look, this might be an issue. Should we not maybe start the process? You could have said, we have it in Tallahassee, but we don't know if it's going to do Tallahassee. I'm not saying
So
that
the
that
problem,
that is not that is not that's just a, I don't know what they thought
but see,
thing.
that. Here's the problem with your logic. It's logic, and it's coming from a consultant who knows
Yeah.
the process, and that's the problem with advocacy groups like this, or the advocates in this process, is that they don't think out the alternatives. They don't think out the different forks in the road or the potential allies that they could have on the other side to prevent what's happening right
And
now.
this goes,
You bring a whole lot of logic as a consultant and walking them through the possibilities. And that's what we've been saying all along. Having the ability to kind of step back from your emotions
well, I think
around this
I think this
and
is,
able to
yeah,
pivot.
because I think this is, so I was having a conversation, and I've been saying this a lot lately because I think I finally worded it over time. A lot of people in these positions, and a lot of people, just get into life and they start saying, well, there's two sides to every coin. There's two sides to every coin. And I think the problem is, if you think that way, then you're not thinking about the whole coin. There's three sides to a coin. A coin has a thickness, and that thickness is a side. So when you put it on the table and you put your finger on it, it might not balance as well, but it's a side. And if you
Right.
spin it, it's going to stand up. So we need to think about your side, my side, and the difficult side. It can't stand on that side all by itself. Typically, it can't. But that's what we need to be thinking about, because we want to know what way it's going to fall. So, yes, it's going to fall to your side or my side, but all that work in between is the middle side. So, next time you spin a coin, think about it.
You make a very good point. And as I watch this process from the comfort of a laptop or a tablet or my phone, because I did not go to the meetings like I did several years ago. I just can't watch and just watching this process. And I was thinking to myself, something's missing. Where's the effort to kind of organize this process for the committee, for the advocates who want to push this forward? There's a lot of people talking about it and a lot of emotions involved. However, it was this side, that side. There was no common ground. There was no negotiation, it sounded like. And it was just push, push, push. And what I saw from the folks who are the detractors of the rule boundary, they're like, okay, there seems to be no way to kind of compromise or find some common ground here. We're going to push in this direction. And I see this effort, and again, this is where a lot of the advocates miss out on a good opportunity to not only bring attention to their cause and gain support, but also bring some of their detractors on board and or plan ahead for prepare for these pitfalls, these detours, these barriers. And it made me think like they really needed someone to manage this whole advocacy campaign and say, hey, maybe your message should be this. Maybe you should have a conversation here. And I just saw so many barriers and walls going up because it was just push, push, push. And the proponents for the rule boundary were deaf to any opportunity to seek any common ground with the folks who actually have and are pulling the levers of power.
Well, my final word is again, I'm not going to take sides on here. I see both. I see both point of view. But what I want to say to you, the viewer, is please comment. Tell me if maybe we're missing something, or maybe there's a different approach. But I'm gonna say that we need to be better advocates. If this is a passion of yours, you need to be prepared. I mean, I know they're not called the Boy Scouts anymore, but the motto "Be prepared" always has been something I think very highly of, because you never know if you're going to need something, and there's a need here that's not being addressed, and it should have been. So again, David, um, I think that it's the supervisor of elections, because he's appointed by the governor, has been a punching bag, and I don't believe that he needs to be punched on this. Um, and you can complain about him bringing his own people in, but you need people that you can trust.
Right. My final word, I'll speak to Supervisor Glenn Gilzean. Um, Advocates here in Orange County, among the liberals, had the opportunity to build a good rapport with the new supervisor elections, regardless of his political affiliation and his affiliation to the governor. Um, he has been very open to meeting with the public. He'll be meeting with Orange County Watch. He invited them to a tour of their facility, of the supervisor's office tomorrow.
Right after. I mean, like right after
Right
the
after.
most critical time. They're doing the fine 12 o'clock. They're going to be doing the the filings will be all done,
Exactly.
and he's going to open up the facility. So
Right.
I kind of mentioned that because it's not he's not taking and saying, well, we have this difficult day, let's put it off. He's saying, we have this difficult day, come on in.
Come on in on Flag Day, 3 o'clock. Here's a tour for Orange County members. Great opportunity. And then, second of all, I just want to say that uh, liberals, Democrats, whatever, or environmentalists, you, you have to take these initiatives that are approved and placed on the ballot by the Charter Review or by the Orange County Commission or any commission. If you want success or guaranteed a better opportunity towards success, you've got to start thinking like your opponents. You got to start researching, planning, strategizing, and treat these particular advocacy issue efforts as a campaign, and managing these particular campaigns as if managing a candidate who's running for elected office, a candidate who's running for judicial office. You have to get into that mindset that there are bigger entities at play on the other side. Just because it may look popular on paper doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's going to be on board and sign off on those particular issues. So again,
You guys got to realize, subscribe, like, be part of the conversation. We enjoy it. We're not one-sided. If you have conversation, you want to bring it in, let's talk. So make sure you're clicking that like button, sharing these videos, telling us what you agree with, disagree with. But again, as David always says, bring your facts, not your feelings, because we don't care about your feelings.
And create some relationships, okay? Do that. We'll see you the next time.